Who's ready for more things that need to be said? I thought you might be, so let's get right into it.
Black people need to stop lying.
Say something.
There's three things that black people need to tell the truth about.
What?
One, Rodney King should have got his ass beat for driving drunk and being grown in a Hyundai. Two, OJ did it. And three, Rosa Parks ain't do nothing but sit her black ass down.
Hey everybody, your resident man in black is back again for a new edition of the best kept secret in the conservative movement right here on MRC-TV. I'm Nick Kangadis. Really quick, head on over to Rumble, subscribe to our channel, and hit that like button. And no matter where you watch our videos, please share, like, and don't be afraid to leave a comment. I actually read what you guys have to say, and I occasionally respond, so don't be shy. Now, on with the show. I told all of you that this new version of Things That Need to Be Said isn't going to pull any punches. If I piss some people off, so be it. We've gone for too long without hearing the unvarnished truth. So that's what I'm here to do. Present it to you and let all of you make up your minds. I'm the only person in the conservative movement that will tell you not to take my word for it. Think for yourselves and be independent of the mess choosing sides creates. Getting into my first clip this week, we have the words of economist Roland Fryer, who spoke about a study he completed concerning police brutality and whether or not cops are biased when it comes to shootings. For context, earlier in the interview, Fryer said that he was not a fan of police, so he wanted to do this study to confirm his bias. But being honest, he let his due diligence and the study's findings do the talking.
Yes, we saw some bias in the low-level uses of force, every day pushing up against cars and things like that. People seem to like that result, but we didn't find any racial bias in police shootings. Now, that was really surprising to me because I expected to see it. The little-known fact is I had 8 full-time RAs that it took to do this over nearly a year. When I found this surprising result, I hired 8 fresh ones and redid it to make sure. They came up with the same exact answer, and I thought it was robust. And then I went to go give it, and my God, all hell broke loose.
Fryer goes on to speak about how his colleagues in academia cautioned him against publishing such a study because of the backlash from people and activists that simply don't want to accept reality.
I had colleagues take me to the side and say, don't publish this. You'll ruin your career.
And finally, Fryer spoke about the backlash that his colleagues warned him about.
I lived under police protection for about 30 or 40 days. I had a 7-day-old daughter at the time. I remember going and shopping for, because you know, when you have a newborn, you think you have enough diapers, you don't. So I was going to the grocery store to get diapers with an armed guard. It was crazy. It was really, truly crazy.
Folks, if academics who do legitimate studies using thousands of hours of work and who knows how much data need security just to go to the grocery store, then shouldn't the people going after him and threatening that person's life be considered a domestic terrorist and not the ones that Biden and the rest of the left talk about? I'm talking about the ones that the left have cultivated through their cult-like and severely misinformed tactics. How come the left will brand anyone they disagree with as domestic terrorists, but they give not one shit about the terrorists that their policies have allowed to cross our borders and threaten our livelihoods? And on our soil, go back to where you came from and don't send a postcard. And you don't have to like it, it's simply the truth. Next up, I have a clip from Russell Brand calling out the side I just mentioned, the left.
The pandemic period was when authoritarianism became normalized. Initially, well, you have to stay indoors because you're protecting other people. There's no evidence that it protects other people. There's no evidence that social distancing works. The whole argument fell apart and I think helped us to recognize that what neoliberalism, in the form of this peculiar new form of leftism, was masking was authoritarianism, a desire to control, a desire to signal virtue rather than practice principles and actual virtue.
And Brand pointed out one very serious point that might not seem like it to some because he's merely talking about podcaster Joe Rogan, but it's a sign that the left are like rats trapped in a corner, meaning they're doing everything they can to prevent extinction.
And if the left can't house the biggest voice in independent media, a person who's plainly not a communist because he's just done a massive media deal, who says he's never voted Republican in his life, who clearly speaks the blue-collar America in a way that's unprecedented, if you can't get in alignment with that voice, then your political movement, I would say, is on its way to expiring.
Look, let me just put it this way. For over a decade now, I've been telling people not to trust the mainstream news on any channel. That didn't work. So I told those same people, okay, if you're gonna watch, believe the opposite of what they're telling you. That worked for some, not for others. That's when I just threw up my hands and said, you're all on your own. I'm not telling you these things because I want to win some contest or simply to be right. I want you to find these things out for yourself because I care about you and don't want you to fall for the traps.
Please believe me. Please believe me.
And let me tell all of you, I used to get asked, and still do from time to time, Nick, how do you do what you do and not watch broadcast news? And my answer is the same every time. Well, I want to stay informed, so why would I watch any of them? Finally, and this might be my most controversial clip on the program, but watch the clip and then hear me out.
Greed, for lack of a better word, is good. Greed is right. Greed works. Greed clarifies, cuts through, and captures the essence of the evolutionary spirit. Greed in all of its forms. Greed for life, for money, for love, knowledge, has marked the upward surge of mankind.
Automatically, when most people hear the term greed, they think about money. It doesn't just have to be about money, as you heard Michael Douglas say in the clip. Think about it. If we're greedy to live life as we see fit, if we're greedy to have love with someone who reciprocates it, if we're greedy for the well-being of our families, and if we're greedy to live a good life in the eyes of whatever God you pray to, then it shouldn't be construed as a bad thing. I understand it's one of the 7 deadly sins, but can't words have more than one meaning? I mean, the left likes to change the definitions of things just to fit their crumbling narratives. So why can't we, at least in instances that serve ourselves, our families, and our God, look at greed as a motivator? And yes, I know what I'm about to show you is from a Christmas movie, but the sentiment of how greed can be looked at as a good thing is there.
You do have to get involved. There are people that are having trouble making their miracle happen. There are people that don't have enough to eat. There are people that are cold. You can go out and say hello to these people. You can take an old blanket out of the closet and say, here. You can make them a sandwich and say, oh, by the way, here. And if you give, then it can happen. Then the miracle can happen to you. The miracle will happen, and then you'll want it to happen again tomorrow. You won't be one of these bastards who says Christmas is once a year and it's a fraud. It's not. It can happen every day. You just gotta want that feeling. And if you like it and you want it, you'll get greedy for it. You'll want it every day of your life.
If I can leave you with this and use an Iggy Pop reference, using another deadly sin in a good way, we need to stop listening to these people whose opinions are bought and paid for and return to having a lust for life. And you don't have to like it. It's simply the truth. So, am I way off this week, or are these things that need to be said? Let me know what you think in the comments, where I do read most and reply to some. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel on Rumble and hit that like button. If you like this video, don't forget to share, comment, and give it a thumbs up. Those are the best ways to help these videos reach more people, and it's the best way to let us know you want us to keep these videos coming. Subscribe to our channel and hit that notification bell so that YouTube might actually let you know when MRC-TV comes out with a new video if they haven't censored or taken it down yet. Like us on Facebook, check out more of our work at MRCTV.org, and if you want to support our content and the conservative movement, head on over to MRC.org/donate to help us out, since we're a nonprofit and couldn't do what we do without all of you. For MRC TV, I'm Nick Kangadis.